sit down, grab yourself a cuppa, and let's begin. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Emily and my channel is EJ Wellbeing. As I'm sitting here cross-legged on the floor, just getting grounded, I wanted to share something that I haven't really shared much on here before. You can probably hear my nose is still a little bit blocked. I haven't been very well the past couple of weeks. I had a bit of a bug from my children and they got it and then I got it again and now my husband's got it, so we've all been ill. But over the past, I would say 2.5 years, I've gone from not eating any meat at all to pretty much following a carnivore diet. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that today. So most of my life I was vegetarian and I didn't really eat very much meat. Maybe occasionally I would eat something as long as it didn't look or taste anything like meat. I did eat a lot of cheese and have some eggs and maybe sometimes some fish, but mostly it was a vegetarian lifestyle. Then I was fully vegan for 5 years. Yeah, 5 years. And I tried everything. I did the raw fruitarian vegan diet for a while. I did the junk food vegan diet for a while. I did the whole foods plant-based vegan diet. I did the organic supplements. I did absolutely everything that you could possibly imagine a person could do. And we made all of the food. I ate all the tofu that one could eat. I ate all the chickpeas and all the lentils one could eat on a vegan diet. We were even going to raise our children vegan at that point as well. So let me begin from the start. So when my now husband and I met, we were both vegan and we were very passionate advocates for that kind of a lifestyle. We ate all the tofu, grains and soy and chickpeas that you could ever imagine, and avocado was my favourite food on the planet. I got pregnant with my baby, my firstborn son, and I had a fully vegan pregnancy and I was planning to raise him as a vegan. During that pregnancy I did have very strong cravings for eggs and salmon, but being a part of the vegan ideology I totally ignored it and I was adamant that I was going to stay vegan for that pregnancy. That did negatively impact my health. I did have some dental health issues. I had gum recession. I think I had a crack in my tooth as well. And postpartum, I had massive hair loss, like sheds of hair. I know people say it's normal to get hair loss postpartum, but this was on another level. So I was still breastfeeding him and my anxiety levels during the pregnancy and especially postpartum went from like here to and they exploded basically. And I know people say, oh, hormones, pregnancy, blah blah blah, but I don't think it's normal to be that anxious during your pregnancy and postpartum. I wouldn't leave the house on my own. I wouldn't really leave the house at all, if ever. I was just afraid of anything and everything that could possibly go wrong. And if my husband went out and took our baby with him, I would literally have a panic attack. I could not let my son leave my side at all. I was extremely an anxious mess. I was very depressed, didn't have much energy. But after a while of taking extra supplements, I started to get it back a bit, to the point where I did lose some of the weight and we then conceived our second son. Now I was still vegan, I was still breastfeeding my first son, and I was now pregnant with our second baby. And it was about halfway through that pregnancy that I'd been so strict vegan, taking all the supplements, absolutely everything one could imagine, trying to nourish my body, that I really had very intense cravings for salmon, eggs and Greek yogurt, and I really couldn't ignore those cravings anymore. So we did start to eat some eggs and some salmon. But before that, my husband was studying for a new job, so he was doing some training and he was saying to me, my brain is just not working, like I just cannot study, my brain is just not working right now, I really need to eat some eggs. And me being a very strict vegan was like, no, you're not eating them in the house, no, you're not eating them in front of our son Lawrence, no. but I do respect your decision to eat eggs, but you're not eating them in front of me. That was my first initial response. And after seeing him eat just eggs into his diet, every day he'd have eggs, our eldest son Lawrence used to come up to him, he was 1.5 at the time, and he was like, have some. And I was like, no, he's not having any. Thank God I was breastfeeding, let's just say that. And as time went on, maybe it was even just a month or so, I saw that Jack got better, my husband. I saw that his cognition improved and that he wasn't complaining, that he wasn't feeling good anymore. And I had intense cravings for eggs that I could not ignore any longer. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna eat an egg right now. And it was one sort of hard / medium soft boiled egg that I dipped some soldiers in and ate it that way, and that's the way that I felt comfortable to eat it. And from there, that opened the door to us like, oh, I'm starting to feel better for doing this. Every day I'd have like egg and soldiers. And it progressed then from eggs to salmon. We were like, oh, shall we have some salmon together? Shall we do it? Oh, and I remember feeling like it felt naughty to want to eat salmon, which is absolutely crazy when you think about it. So we went and got some salmon from the shop, and we had salmon, and it was just incredible. And then I wanted to eat more of it, but I still had this vegan plant-based mindset in my head. I was still thinking, okay, so I still want to be mostly vegan, and then once a week have fish, and then maybe have, you know, eggs a couple of times a week. I still had that mindset. So it took a bit more time for me to get from where I was to where I am now. And obviously at that point when I started eating eggs, my son, who was still only 1.5, we gave him eggs too, and he absolutely loved the eggs. And it just makes me think, gosh, what did I deprive him of for his first, 1.5 years of life? And he was churning down these eggs, and he really loved fish too. And then the next stage, after we had my second son Terence, I was really craving bone broth. So I was like, okay, so how can I do this? I don't know how to make bone broth. I don't really never touched a bone in my life. We ordered some bone broth from Amazon. Literally, it's like in a little tub, it's already made. You can just use a teaspoon and dip it in water and stir it, and then you've got a cup of bone broth. So I had a turmeric bone broth. This was my first step, and it felt so good, but I just kept freaking myself out at the idea of drinking bone broth, that I didn't drink it as much as what I wanted to because my head got in the way. Then after we had my second baby, so I was still breastfeeding both boys at this time. It only lasted a few months that I tandem fed both of them. But you can imagine, you make milk from your blood. So imagine how many nutrients were not going to me and they were all going to my baby. So my health was really suffering. I was feeling quite tired. Although I did have an amazing birth and the breastfeeding journey was incredible. Nutrition wise, I was not getting what my body needed. And I remember the conversation that Jack and I had, and we were like, should we try a steak? Like that, let's do it, let's try a steak. And we were literally dead excited to eat a steak, and I'd never actually had a steak in all my life. I had burgers, but not an actual fat steak. So we went to Sainsbury's and we got steak, and we were like, oh, this feels like naughty. And when we got home, it was probably one of the driest steaks we've ever cooked because we didn't really know how to cook it. But I remember eating this piece of steak and crying, tears just coming out my eyes. Not because I was eating an animal, it's because my body was like, thank you. My body was like, thank you for these nutrients that you've deprived yourself of for so long. And I was just crying from relief of okay, I can let go of this ideology now that doesn't suit me anymore. I held on so rigidly too. And I let it go, and it felt such a relief to be able to do that. So it's been 2.5 years since that point that we had our, first nourishment from animal foods. And since then it's been a journey of like, okay, we're only going to eat meat once a week, you know, just once a week. I still want to be mostly plant-based. And then as we started to go on, you can't help but feel the benefits that you get from eating animal produce after you've been deprived of them for so long. I started to notice that I didn't feel like I was out here anymore. I felt very grounded. A lot of the times as a vegan, I was like, oh, I feel out here, like I don't feel very present right now. I used to get a lot of brain fog and sore gums a lot of the time, like itchy teeth. It was really strange sort of sensations. And I noticed that I stopped getting those sensations. I noticed that I felt more grounded. I felt more present as I started to eat more and more meat. I started to have less gut issues. I've had IBS my whole life, and I've always had like pain and real like trouble with digesting food really, and bloating. And the more animal produce I started to eat, that started to go away. My anxiety levels went from up here, they started to come down. And the depression started to level out. So I started to feel a little bit more sort of balanced, you know, you could say. And then we went from eating meat a couple of times a week, and then more times, and then, okay, let's have meat every day just for one meal. And then it got to a point where, all right, let's have every single meal, we're going to have animal based. And we followed more of a Dr. Weston A. Price sort of approach with his kind of animal-based food that we still follow as a family today, although we are very more carnivore-based than anything else. And today I actually make bone broth using the bones of animals, and it feels so good. I'm not afraid to touch meat anymore. I'm not afraid to cook meat. I'm not afraid to eat it. Our family is very meat-based, and I have been for the past, I would say, 1.5 to 2 years, been on and off on a sort of carnivore-ish diet. So I would eat just carnivore for a couple of weeks, and then I would have some other foods in, or I'd eat a bit of junk food, or I'd have shepherd's pie, or like we'd go out and have some fish and chips or something, or I'd want some granola, so I'd have some granola. But as time goes on, like this time 2 years ago, I used to love this because I cannot tolerate gluten very well. If I have gluten, I get like a rash all on my skin, I get really itchy skin, I get very bad diarrhea. So I used to have this, I think it's Deliciously Ella gluten-free granola, and I was obsessed with this granola, and I could eat like the whole box of the cereal in a few days, maybe in 2 days, maybe even in 1 day sometimes. And I noticed that I had that fairly recently. I had some granola, and I was like, oh, I don't even like the texture of it anymore. It's so strange, something that I could not get enough of, that I couldn't finish a whole bowl of. So I had a little bit of it, and I was like, oh no, I just don't like it. It's crazy how your taste buds change, and all I want to eat right now is slow cooked meat. I really love slow cooked lamb on the bone, or slow cooked beef ribs. That is like my favourite thing in the whole world to eat. So yeah, it's incredible what a journey we've gone on from being vegan to now it being mostly a carnivore family. It's incredible. I've noticed a change in behaviour in my children. I'll do another video on that. In myself and my husband, our mental health has improved massively, and our mental resilience to take on, you know, troubles and challenges in the world. So this is just a very short story of my transition from vegan to carnivore. If you're interested, I can do more videos on this. If you like this, please give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know, have you transitioned from vegan or vegetarian to a more meat-based diet, or are you still vegan now, or are you carnivore? Let me know in the comments your thoughts on this video. Let me know what you eat on the day. I'd be interested to have a discussion about this as well, and let me know if you want to see more videos like this. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that notifications bell to be notified when I release a new video. There's plenty more to come. Bye.